ShotokuTech News of the Week, bringing you news stories that you might have missed because there were other news stories. Welcome to Snot Dub Leap Year Edition 2020, because every 4 years it takes the Earth another day to get around the sun. 2 firefighters, 1 police officer, and 2 civilians were hospitalized after being stung by a swarm of up to 40,000 bees in Pasadena, California. Fortunately, a beekeeper was able to recover the hive, and everybody, please be careful. AI is being used to discover powerful new antibiotics. Pioneering machine learning approach has identified powerful new types of antibiotic from a pool of more than 100 million molecules. This is a remarkable study. Resistant infections could kill 10 million people per year by 2050 unless new drugs are developed. Keep up the good work. The second person was killed in days at the Mardi Gras by a float in New Orleans. This one, the crew of Endymion Parade at 7 p.m. on Saturday. A person was struck by a float and fatally injured. Previously on Wednesday night, a 58-year-old woman was struck by a float. So please look both ways before crossing. Here we can see double standards at play. A Saudi rapper is facing arrest after making a song praising women as powerful and beautiful. Apparently this goes against the standards of the community. There were no obscenities or suggestive antics in the video. Just powerful and beautiful women of Mecca. Here you see the double standard. A Moroccan singer, Said Lemjared, is facing rape charges, but he was allowed to perform in Saudi Arabia. South Korea declares its highest alert over coronavirus, with 6 dead and over 600 cases reported. Also, this story goes on to talk about in Italy, there's a strict quarantine in place. In Milan and Venice, around 50,000 people cannot enter or leave several towns. Iran is also reporting an outbreak, acknowledging 43 confirmed cases, although the virus may have spread to all cities. Schools, universities, and cultural centers across 14 Iranian provinces have been closed. So, although China is reporting a drop in cases, we see this spreading globally. So please be careful. I don't believe he ever proved that Earth is flat, but sadly, Mad Mike Hughes dies in a rocket crash in the California desert. He was filming an episode for the Science Channel Homemade Astronauts. He was 64 and on board the rocket when it crashed. This story from digitaltrends.com. Astronomers have come up with a new method for detecting exoplanet atmospheres using radio waves. Astronomers at the Netherlands Institute for Radio Astronomy are detecting radio emissions given off when a planet's atmosphere interacts with the magnetic field of a red dwarf star that it orbits. So they're detecting the planet's atmosphere through the auroras of that planet, which are in interaction with the magnetic field of the star that it orbits. Good job. A street artist named Invader in France sells this Rubik's Cube Mona Lisa at an auction. About $520,000 worth. Boy, that really stacked up nice. This weekend, tourists on the Canary Islands were stranded as a Sahara sandstorm blows in. They're looking at about 200 miles off the shore of Africa. The Canary Islands were affected by a giant sandstorm from the Sahara Desert, shutting down air travel. So they got an extra day or two in the Canary Islands. I guess we could call it a Haboob holiday. This from The Independent. The Earth formed much more quickly than we thought. They're saying that the Earth formed from particles of dust sticking together, forming this proto-Earth. It took like 5 million years to create the planet. It's so quick that it would be the equivalent of about a minute and a half out of a day. The interesting part of this theory is they're looking at common iron isotopes found on the Earth and comparing them to dust and meteorites, and it seems that our core was formed of iron, and then the mantle of the Earth has these deposits from these meteorites. So they can say that the Earth was already formed when meteorites began to strike its mantle. This, in the New Scientist, scientists have discovered an animal that doesn't need oxygen to survive. In fact, its DNA does not contain the traces needed to have mitochondria, which generate this adenosine triphosphate, which powers the cellular process. So all animals we're familiar with, all multicellular animals we're familiar with, have this mitochondria that turns oxygen into adenosine triphosphate. But this Hennegia salmonicola does not have this mitochondrial DNA at all. Wow, pretty interesting. Okay, Al is in the news again. Oh wait, that's AI. Anyway, the Department of Defense has adapted principles for the use of artificial intelligence in war. Responsibility, equity, and governability. So apparently Skynet has been averted again. Wow, talk about stock photos. Smithsonian opens up 2.8 million images to the public. We should make a meme subreddit using these images. Thanks, Smithsonian. The time for talk is over. The science is settled. GIF is a looping animated image for the internet, and GIF is peanut butter for my sandwich. Stone tools from the Daba location in India indicate how humans may have survived a supervolcano that blasted in the Lake Toba area of Indonesia. This happened 74,000 years ago, and they found this trove of tools that span this era in some sediment, and they can see the difference between the development of these tools from crude chiseling methods to more complex method of creating tools. The recently upgraded Doomsday Vault has just received a trove of seeds, taking the count of samples over 1 million. This is a great way to preserve really precious crops for the future. This is an interesting read. This large exoplanet could have the right conditions for life. K2-18b is really far away, 124 light years away. It's over 2 times the size of the Earth and 8 times the mass of the Earth, but it is in a place where it could have liquid water. It's got a hydrogen-rich atmosphere. It's interesting to read how these astronomers calculate all of this based on observations from so far away. Take a look. Oh, this is an interesting story. In China, they're going to dispatch 100,000 ducks to Pakistan to head off a locust swarm. That's going to be interesting. This is an interesting hookup. A satellite was running out of fuel, and another satellite docked with it and refueled it. This is like the first of its kind. Unmanned docking of satellites. Very touching. Nice hookup. They're going to stick together for the next 5 years. Wow, did you hear that? Astronomers have discovered the biggest explosion in the universe. They're looking at this distant galaxy that has a void that's seething with radio waves coming from electrons accelerated almost to the speed of light. The researchers concluded those electrons were accelerated by a huge explosion from just near a black hole, which smashed away all of the gas in the area, leaving behind that void. Wow, you could fit 15 Milky Way galaxies in a row into the crater this eruption punched into the cluster's hot gas. This is getting glowing reviews. Glowing frogs and salamanders may be surprisingly common. Many species have this biofluorescence, but when it comes to amphibians, experts knew of only one salamander and 3 frogs. But using blue or ultraviolet light, they found 32 species of amphibians, salamanders, frogs, and a worm-like caecilian at varying stages of life. To their surprise, all lit up. The effect was strongest under blue light. The new findings suggest that biofluorescence is widespread among amphibians. Thank you for watching Snot Dub Leap Year 2020 edition, because every 4 years the Earth takes an extra day to get around the sun. Thank you for watching ShotokuTech. Please subscribe, comment, like, and share.